And I was going to ask you, where do you find good integrators? And
Dude, you tell me. Like they're all hiding in some bar somewhere.
like, where are they? Where are the good ops people? I think that is the hardest thing that I struggle with. Is finding a
You know,
legitimate operator.
you know what I think? I don't know for sure, and there's guys like Gary Harper and other folks that really help. They can help you find those people, or they can certainly help you tell you what the right skill set is. I think a lot of them are in more traditional jobs. They're not in the entrepreneurial space because it didn't have the structure they needed to make them happy. Like they appreciate the structure, right? And
Mhm.
you're not going to find that with guys like me. Not initially, right?
Yeah.
It might be like a wonderland once you get in and you're like, wow, there's lots of good ideas here. Um, and I've got some flexibility to go run with it. I think those people are out there, but I wish there was like a dating service or something where I could just
Oh
log
man.
in and find these folks, right? But if anybody knows where that's at, that's listening right now, like please tell me where it's at. Drop some breadcrumbs for me.
Which business out of the three are you most excited about right now? I'm most excited about Machine, personally.
I'll tell you what, it all fits. It all fits like this, and that's how it happened for
It
me.
really
Like
does.
I started as a real estate investor, and we started fast. We flipped our first calendar year, we flipped 65 houses, mostly
Oh
rehab.
wow.
So doing it the
Yeah.
hard way. So we ramped up fast. We were a volume shop pretty quickly. But very quickly, the whole reason I got into the business, it's funny because when I first started, I actually didn't even know what wholesaling was. I didn't get it. Like
Uh-huh.
I was like, I just want to take ugly houses and make them pretty and make money in the process. And I like the transformation and all that. But very quickly realized, hey, we need to wholesale some because you shouldn't rehab everything, even if you have unlimited funds and unlimited time, which nobody does. You shouldn't rehab in the hood and you shouldn't rehab really high end houses. Like, there's just some stuff you shouldn't take on, right? But even aside from that, it's like, hey, that's what feeds the business from a cash flow standpoint. Like you do this faster and you can more reliably market and hire people and not be worried about you can't afford them the next month because the cash flows are a lot more lumpy with rehab model than they are. And it's just
Oh yeah.
unpredictable. Now this market, the cycle time is way shorter, right? But 14 years ago, you might be holding a house for on average 4 to 5 months from the time you buy it, rehab it, sell it, contract to sell it, close it, all that stuff. So things are contracted a little bit more right now. But along the way, I started to keep some rentals because that's what I really wanted was mailbox money. And then I
Exactly.
got into coaching because I started opening up about what we do and sharing stuff. And people are like, hey, can you show me how to do that? Can we partner on deals? And next thing you know, I'm a coach. Next thing you know, I'm coaching hundreds of people. It's just these like things just get bolted on along the way that you didn't really expect. And then I was like coaching people in Dallas, DFW area, and I wanted to kind of branch out nationally. And part of that was to market more nationally. So I started my first podcast, the Flip Nerd podcast, which we're actually in the process of turning. I haven't told very many people this, but we'll kind of a little bit of breaking news here. We're turning into a podcast network of about 8 to 10 different podcasts. So that's going to be launching pretty
That'll be
soon.
cool.
I've got a guy that works for me that's in the back right now. We're seemingly ordering a endless supply of stuff to build a studio in the back of my office here. Um, but it went from like, come meet me at rehabs we're working on, and we'll kind of walk through the house together and talk about it, to like hiring a video guy. This is even like, gosh, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, hired some young kid right out of college to like follow me around with a camera and take pictures and shoot videos and stuff, to starting a podcast. So I started the podcast in late 2013, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And there were 5 or 6 guys with podcasts at the time: Sean Terry, Joe McCall. I was just with Joe a couple days ago. Jason Hartman had some, and I'm sure there's a few others I'm missing for sure.
Pardo? How long has Pardo's been going?
So Alex, I was just on Alex's show, and Alex was a couple years after me, because I remember when he was starting his show, I spent a fair bit of time on the phone with him talking about, what to look for, what to do. I mean, he was talking to a lot of folks and getting advice. And so he was after me. He's done an amazing job for sure. And he does a lot more volume, like on an annual basis for sure. I think he's still doing like 3 shows a week. But
Yeah.
um, anyway, that led me. It was an expert interview style show, and it still is today. So I interview guys like you, people that are experts. And back then, I'm sounding like an old man now, but 8 years ago, 7 years ago, like social media just wasn't as common as it is now.
Mhm.
So now you're connected to thousands of people and you feel like you know everybody because you're Facebook friends. But back then that wasn't as common of a thing. So if I'm interviewing somebody on my show, like I might have heard of them before, I might know who they are, but I
Yeah.
don't really know them that well yet. And honestly, for me, podcasts are it's a way to get our message out there. But for me, it's a way to network and meet people. Like you and I are going to get to know each other better here today. And that's going to start a new relationship where we're going to see where it goes from here. Right. And so it turned into this podcast. The podcast turned into this way for me to meet a lot of amazing people that became great friends, sometimes JV partners, like lots of
Yeah.
things came out of that. And me realizing that, like, hey, I have this coaching business. It's done really well for a long time. But man, I sure like talking to the experienced people that are more of my peers than
Yep.
newbies. And that really is, the short version of the story of how Investor Fuel, the mastermind, started, because we only work with experienced investors there. And it just, as an entrepreneur, I love talking about getting to the next level, what's next, overcoming challenges, then going from deal 0 to 1. Because, and I say this like in my mastermind or anybody that I advise or anybody that I work with, it's so much easier for me to talk to somebody about getting from 20 deals a year to 40 or 50 than it is from 0 to 1, because there's so many mindset issues and there's so many people questioning, does this even work? Right. At that level, they know it works and they're like, how do I get this to work better?
Yeah.